Hey, what is up everybody? This is Jumpin here, and today this is going to be a very special gameplay. Pretty much the start of a new series I'm going to be making where you guys give me your builds, and I pick one of them that I like a lot. This particular build was given to me by PeteMan12, so that's Pete as in the name Peter, Man12, and it's really awesome. This is the Geth Pyro build. I'm surprised I never thought about this before, but it's pretty cool. So to do this, you're going to need the Rieger Carbine with Shredder and, well, really you can put any mod on, but I recommend Shredder and Damage. The build itself is pretty much my build. He didn't really give me a build, but just the idea of the Rieger Carbine is good enough. Alright, so for the Geth turret, you're going to want all offensive because it's a Geth Pyro. You need the flamethrower to make this possible. Apologize, someone died apparently, I guess, but you know how that always happens with me. So you pretty much want all the offensive options. That's all the top options. For your hunter mode, you're going to want power recharge, power damage, just to help your turret out a lot. Very, very important. And then finally damage, so you can get the 17.50% damage on that. For overload, this is a little bit different than you're used to, but I go for chain overload, recharge speed, and shield damage. This is pretty much my standard overload build. I decided to go ahead and give it a try on the Geth Engineer, and it does work really well because it just takes off shields like crazy. And then from Network AI, I just go for damage and capacity and power damage. And then for advanced hardware, pretty much just a little bit of shields and the melee damage. And I just like that. You could do the weapons damage, but he's way too flimsy to do that, I think. Alright, now for another very important aspect of this is you're going to need incendiary rounds, and I'm going to use shotgun rail amp, stronghold package for the recharge time, and a little boost to shields, and then also now the new power amplifier 4. Power amplifier 4, I don't know what the percentage is for damage increase, but it is pretty beastly, I do have to say. It really makes the flamethrower amazing. It just seems like it does a lot more damage with that, so that's why I have it on there. And also overload, it just does a ton more damage because of the power amp 4. Now anyway, for this gameplay, this is actually going to be a gold match. Now the idea of this series is that I'm going to take one of you guys' builds and I will talk about it, show you gameplay with it, and tell you and all the other viewers what I think about it. Now, as you can tell, this is going to be on a Hydra. This will be gold, like I said, and it's going to be against Reapers, so that's pretty cool. This gameplay is pretty good, but around the end, there's going to be, we're going to have some major issues, but luckily we are going to finish this one, unlike the last one. But you will just have to see what happens around the end, and then you'll understand why we had so many problems. But anyway, let me go ahead and talk about this build now. Okay, the first thing is this. Rieger Carbine, as you may know, is a great gun. One of the most overpowered guns in the whole game. And on a Geth Infiltrator or on a Geth Engineer, it is a very good gun. With the incendiary rounds on it, it really does feel like a flamethrower. So you kind of do feel like a Geth Pyro. And you just pretty much just have a lot of fire going on, which is really, really cool. The downside to this build is that the Geth are glass cannons. They are just so flimsy and weak that running up pretty much point blank to the enemies is very risky. I mean, it can be extremely risky, and you will die quite a bit. Luckily in this gameplay, for the majority of the gameplay, I really won't die much. But I can honestly say, if you guys are going to try this, there's a good chance you will die a lot trying this. For me, I don't die a lot, but that's just because I do kind of play somewhat intelligent throughout this gameplay. But at the same time, I can see a less confident player having some major issues with this. So try to keep that in mind. Would I recommend this as a build? I probably would have to say no for the average player, but for an advanced player, yeah, go for it. This would definitely work out very well for you. Normally, I only recommend things like Cerberus Harrier or any type of long-range gun, the Carnifax, something that you could shoot enemies from distance with the Geth Engineer. Just because, you really have to have the ability to not rush in and go guns a-blazing with this guy. You need that, otherwise you might have some serious issues. And that's really like going to be your biggest problem with a build like this, is that, yeah, if you run in guns a-blazing, you might die a lot. So just try to keep that in mind. But overall, like, Pete Man's idea was a great idea. It was a lot of fun to play as this thing, and I mean, really, like, this build is a ultimate slayer. It can really do a lot of damage to the enemies. Geth with the Rieger Carbine, it is a good idea for damage, but just when it comes down to defense and staying alive, it is not a good idea. That's just at least what I feel about it. So, but overall, though, I would say that, you know, it is really cool. It's definitely a cool idea. Alright, so unfortunately, and this is going to be wave 3, and we're going to get an upload. That is kind of an issue, honestly. Any wave with Banshees and uploads is never a good wave. Any other ejective against Reapers during the Banshee ejective waves, and right here I'm going to die for the first time. Unfortunately, but, you know, it was pretty wicked, too, because, like, the brute just kind of came out of nowhere and smacked the shit out of me. But like I was saying, any wave with Banshees and an ejective is always going to be, like, pretty challenging. But with an upload, it's so it can be very ridiculous, just because you have to sit in the upload and wait for it to get done. And in that process, you're going to have to fight multiple Banshees. And I'm kind of being a little bit of a jackass, and I'm not actually in the upload. I'm just kind of running around slaying for fun. So I'm going to apologize about that. I tend to do that sometimes, and yeah, I'm not really helping out my team, even though I am pretty much keeping the enemies out of the upload. You know, I probably should have stayed in the upload just to get it done quicker. You know, you definitely need to do that just to get it done. Otherwise, you always take the risk of your teammates getting assassinated. Now, the only thing you can do if you're going to ever leave the upload on Reapers is to try to keep the Banshee on you. Like right here, it is kind of a good thing that I'm not in the upload, because I'm keeping the Banshees keeping this Banshee off of my teammates for the most part. It was because it was distracted on me, and right here I'm going to die. Because it was distracted on me, it wasn't actually like targeting my teammates. It wasn't actually trying to grab them, and that's really important that doesn't happen. Otherwise, you know, you can fail. Like, you can literally fail the whole mission if you're the last alive, and you have to deal with Banshees. So, like, that's pretty much the way to think about it. Alright, now, one thing about this series, if I am going to do it, I am going to need you guys to go ahead and post more builds for me. Just any ideas or builds are pretty much the idea of this series. You have to give me your idea for a build, or your build, you know, that you have. So that's the two things. Anything that's original, or at least sounds very original or really interesting, will probably be chosen over anything else. Like the whole idea for a Geth Pyro, that was really cool, and that's why it was chosen. Where if you just give me a Turian soldier using, I don't know, the Cerberus Harrier, like, that's really not that original, it might get chosen. And you guys need to also vote for these as well. That can definitely be persuasive. I'm going to be the one who, you know, ultimately picks the build, more than likely I will do. But at the same time, if you guys vote for, like, let's say a certain person's idea or build, yeah, I mean, that's going to definitely persuade me to probably go with that over anything else. But ultimately, like I said, I probably will end up just using the one I think that sounds the most, you know, fun or interesting or good, just to show you. You know, if you give me a build with a Predator pistol, like, I don't really know if I would use that, just because that's not the point of the series, is to use a bad build. The point of the series is to use some, you know, one of the viewers' builds they like a lot, or a good build from the viewers. So that's pretty much the way to think about it, guys. But anyway, so let me go ahead and talk about this gameplay now. I believe this is wave 4, and as you can tell, like, this build does do a lot of damage to the enemies. It can kill most armor enemies pretty easily. Unfortunately, I did not have incendiary rounds 4. I was really, before I was gonna do this video, I was definitely hoping I could get some incendiary rounds for this gameplay, because if I had those, this would have been a lot more effective. Unfortunately, I cannot and that's a statement. I cannot get Incinerator Round 4. I've gotten everything else 4, but the only one I have not got yet is Incinerator Rounds. And I really want to try out Incinerator Rounds because, I mean, they're probably going to do the most damage out of anything. Right here, I'm going to shoot a rocket just to get that easy kill streak. Pretty much knew that it was going to be an easy kill streak. Now, one thing about this build as well, if you ever want to try this, is that you definitely need to throw out your turret a lot. Right there, I instantly got mowed down because this guy is a weakling, but I got myself back up just because I was pretty much far out. Whenever you go down and you're somewhat far away from your teammates, or you're in a area where you know that, I mean, you just have to know it, but it's pretty easy to tell. If you're in an area where you know that your teammates, if they try to get you, probably will die, you need to just get up, because you don't want that to happen. That's really like kind of a douchey thing to do, is to force your teammates to try to come and get you, and then they die in the process trying to revive you. You just don't want that to happen. So if you ever go down in areas that you feel are high traffic or too dangerous for your teammates to get you, you just need to get yourself up. And that's what I did right there, and that's what I normally do in general when I play, if I ever go down in certain bad situations. But alright, so anyway, like I was saying, but when you play with this build, you definitely want to throw out your turret a lot for 2 reasons. The first reason is that if you have your turret up, you're going to probably need it, just because more than likely you're going to be fighting close range, and because of that you're going to be taking a lot of damage most of the time, and the turret will actually help you out a lot by refilling your shields. That's the first reason. And the second reason is, why not? It's cool. It's Geth Pyro. You're supposed to be setting everything on fire, and the turret also has a flamethrower, so that's just pretty much the way to think about it. Alright, so this is going to be an objective wave. This is wave 6, and we have killed the targets, which pretty much sucks. It kind of sucks. Wave 6 is definitely the easiest objective wave against Reapers, just because you don't have to deal with Banshees at all. And you do have to deal with a lot of Ravagers and Marauders and Brutes, but in general, the only thing that is probably a danger in this wave is pretty much just the Marauders and maybe the Ravagers, just depending on the way you're positioned on the map. Brutes are pretty easy to dodge. You just gotta get the timing down. I mean, a lot of people always comment or tell me that I dodge Brutes so well and I'm a beast at dodging them, but it's really easy, guys. All you gotta do is just kind of like learn their pretty much just learn their movements and the way that they position themselves before they attack. I mean, you can pretty much tell every time a Brute gets ready to charge you, he gets literally ready to charge you, and you just got to be ready to dodge out the way. One quick dodge in any direction will pretty much dodge the Brute. You know, you don't ever want to dodge backwards, and you never want to dodge forward to try to dodge a Brute. I mean, you could potentially dodge him like that, but more than likely it just ain't going to work out for you. Now right here, I was trying to get my teammate, but I just was having a little bit of trouble with ammo, but I was able to pick him up, so that was good. And also, you should always, like, if you, as a Geth, if you're ever taking a lot of damage, I mean, like, let's say a Marauder shooting you, one Marauder can drop you in a blink of an eye. But if you do dodge in any particular direction, the Marauder's chances of killing you, like, in a matter of a second will actually go down a lot. Like, you will actually live. You'd be surprised. Just one dodge while you're getting shot by one enemy can normally save your life. So try to keep that in mind. I mean, if you want to try to stay alive as a Geth, you really need to do that kind of stuff. Alright, right here I'm going to rocket for the second kill streak. I'm just using my rockets up now so that, you know, the reason why I'm using up my rockets is just to make it easier for... You should always try to help out your teammates by rocking. Now, I'm not saying everybody should use up all their rockets, because that is really just not the greatest thing ever. Now, right here, I'm going to get dropped again by a Ravager. I kind of knew I was screwed. There wasn't much I could do. I had way too many enemies behind me, and I had a Marauder in front of me, and all this other crap. Unfortunately, but that is what will happen at times. Now, the thing is, though, guys, like I was saying, is that with this Geth, like, you just really need to try to play intelligent. Like I said, that's the downside to this build, is that because it has the rear carbine, you have to play somewhat reckless with this. Now right here, I'm gonna have to use an op pack, unfortunately, just because if you get warped as a Geth and you don't have full health, you are pretty much dead, and that sucks. But anyway, like I was saying, if you just need to play intelligent with this Geth, you really do. There's always going to be, it's a high risk, high reward kind of build, and the Rigger Carbine just kind of demands you to play aggressive. I mean, the payoff, the reward is that you'll kill everything in about a half of a second, but you know, the punishment is that you'll die a lot in the process. And you just, the Geth are one of those, it's just one of the, it's probably the main race in the game that has the potential of being the douchiest, just because when you play as a Geth, depending on your build, there's a good chance that you're gonna die a lot, and that can piss off your teammates by them having to get you up constantly. Nobody wants to get your teammate up non-stop. I mean, that just is not fun. And the other thing is that most Geth builds will be offensive gods and can steal every kill on the map, depending on what you're using. So Rigger Carbine is kind of one of those builds. If you're going to try this Geth Pyro, it's a lot of fun, but you just got to think about your teammates in the process, and that's more than likely the biggest downside to trying to do something like that. Do something like this, that is. Alright, so this is actually, I believe, Wave 8. And once again, I'm going to rock it. Like I said, you should always rock it, though. You know, you should always try to rock it early on in the wave. Not everybody needs to rock it. Like, that's what I was pretty much saying earlier, is that if you want to save some rockets for the end, but maybe one or two people should rock it a little bit, like any big group. If you ever just see a big group, that's when you can just pretty much rock it, because not all 4 players on the map will always see the big groups. Only maybe 1 or 2 players will find the big groups of enemies. And if that just so happens to be you in any particular moment, that's the moment that you should bust out your rocket and take them all out. That's what it is. So just try to remember that. Right here, I'm going to rush up. Now, see, that's the other big issue I have with this build. It's depending on the map. Like, if you're playing on a large map, yeah, this is just going to be a nightmare. A smaller map, you will definitely be rewarded a lot easier from doing something like this compared to a bigger map. Now, this map's not really that big, but it's big enough and open enough to actually have some serious issues, like potentially. The position of the enemies on this map can be very, very annoying, depending on where they actually are. Like, if they are above you, or if you're running around in the courtyard area where I am now, there's a good chance that the enemies can be shooting you from the top areas all over the map. So that's my biggest problem with this map, and with a really flimsy character like this, yeah, that can be kind of an issue. And I mean, the other thing too is, like I was saying, is that on a bigger map, the longer it's going to take you to get into range of the Rigger Carbine, because that's really the downside compared to everything else in this game. Like, even most other shotguns, you can at least still damage enemies from really far away with them. With this, you actually have to be in the range of the weapon, and because of that, that can definitely cause you some issues. The longer it's going to take you to run from point A to point B to get to the enemies, the more of a chance the enemies are going to have of just murdering you. So just try to keep that in mind, guys. You definitely can have some issues. Now, right here is a Banshee in front of me, but I'm not interested in rocking the Banshee. I'm interested in rocking the big group of enemies. So that's pretty much what I go for. If you rocket a Banshee on gold, guys, they are just going to respawn. There is a set limit of how many Banshees there can be in the later waves, but I mean, the limit's like 6 or 8 or 10. I mean, I don't really know. It's probably like 6 or 8, but that's a lot of Banshees. So if you waste one rocket on one Banshee, that is a waste. It's just not going to do anything. The better thing to do is to try to rocket a giant group of enemies. If you rocket the giant group, then what's going to happen is that it's going to make it so that the wave's going to end a lot quicker. And then if you do it right, you only have to fight maybe 3 Banshees or 2 Banshees, and then maybe at the most 4 Banshees, and that's it. So, most of the time people will always try to rocket Banshees or just take out Banshees, because I mean you take a risk always of getting grabbed if you don't rocket in certain times. I mean, you should always rocket them if you feel like it's going to cost you your life if you don't. But if you feel and then right here, my buddy is actually gonna bleed out. Unfortunately, I don't know why he let himself bleed out, but I mean, I don't think he has many metagels, and that is always an issue. I mean, it's understandable if you only have 2 metagels. There's really nothing you can do about that, but there's always, I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, I don't know. Like, it just depends on the situation. Because if I remember right here, it's just me and my friend, or me and my other buddy who's actually alive right now, and there's still a lot of enemies left. So, trying to clutch with just 2 people is a lot easier than trying to clutch with just 1 person. But it's all, it's still gonna be risky because if me or him, if we get grabbed at all, yeah, it's like game over. So. I mean, that is definitely an issue. Um, but anyway, like I was saying, this is pretty much like what we're doing now. It's just me and this other guy. We're trying to stay alive and just get this wave over with. We're getting pretty much close to the end here. You can pretty much tell when you're getting close to the end just because there is, you're only going to see so many enemies on the map. You're going to be pretty much done with it. And that's pretty much a good thing. Like, that's what you want. And once you're down to the Banshees, you can pretty much jump them and be done with it. And that's really what we're going for right here. Now, right now, there's just the Banshees left, and we're just going to take them out. But anyway, guys, like I said, the point of this series is for you guys to give me your builds. Now, I know if you've already left, like, a long comment talking about your build, then you might not feel like doing that, but you could always just copy and paste it from the other one if you wanted to repost it. But that's probably going to be the biggest issue with this series is that you guys are going to have to, if your build doesn't get chosen, which there's a good chance it might not, just because there's so many comments on this, there's going to be so many comments on this video and on like other videos. This is what's going to happen. Like, you're going to have to constantly like copy and paste your comment or something, otherwise it's just gonna be annoying typing it out again. But alright, so this is wave 10, and we just got the another upload, which is pretty much the worst thing that can ever happen. Now I'm gonna rocket this first group. Now I really should have not have done that, honestly. I really should have saved that rocket for later, just because I wasn't really thinking and what I mean is that this is the wave that I was just talking about earlier. It's like if you get wave 10 upload, it's gonna be hard, just because you need your rockets. You need you and your team needs rockets just so you can keep these stupid Banshees out of the upload. That is the worst thing that can happen to you, because you're gonna take the high chance of getting grabbed in an upload. Now, the downside to this is that right away in the start of this wave, one of our teammates gets grabbed, and I was starting to have a a nightmare again, like pretty much just thinking about what happened in the last video and in the last gameplay where my team got grabbed, and I just did not want to see that happen again. But we're pretty much just staying in the upload, trying to get it done as quickly as possible. It's a lot easier to clutch if the ejective's done. If the ejective is not done, yeah, you're gonna have an impossible time of clutching. Pretty much how it goes. So, the main thing is getting this done. Because even if, let's say, one person gets grabbed or if another person gets grabbed, it's really not gonna be a big deal. Now, right here, he's gonna get grabbed. And unfortunately, we could not break him loose. We were trying to, but it just wasn't going to happen. I got knocked down, so I just got myself up. That's another thing if you're in it. This is like a panic situation. It really starts to become that way. And just because of what happened last time with the, everyone getting grabbed, I just didn't want to see that happen again. And right here, unfortunately, the other person gets grabbed. And I was like, oh no, this is going to be a nightmare. I'm going to have to clutch this out. And the worst part about it is that the upload is still not done. It's close to being done. And I'm going to have to get myself up. And yeah, I am just fucking surrounded. But luckily, I did get the upload done. But I have no op packs. I'm getting eaten by swarmers. And I knew I was going to die. There was really nothing I could have done. The turret would have took way too long to heal me. And yeah, now it's up to me to clutch out the whole wave, pretty much. There's going to be the maximum amount of enemies on the map at this point. So now I'm going to have to run from one side of the map to another side of the map trying to kill these enemies. Now luckily, because of the incendiary rounds, and because of this whole build being very powerful, I'm gonna be able to just kind of like kill a lot of these enemies by just shooting them a little bit and then running away from them. That is a good thing about incendiary rounds, especially on something like this. Now that was really stupid. I kind of was hoping that he would not hit me, but he still hit me because brutes can hit you through walls, and that's so dumb. But like I said, my whole purpose of this is just to try to clutch this as try to run around the map, like I told you in the last video about clutching. You need to run around the map, but don't play like a coward. Don't play like a pussy. You want to play aggressive still if possible, just because you don't want to waste. It could take one kid like 20 minutes to clutch. It's just what it is. Like it can happen, and unfortunately, you just don't want that to happen. You don't want to waste people's time. I'd rather die than clutch for 20 minutes. So I'm gonna try to make this as quick as possible, but I also have to play smart. I mean, I'm down to 1 meta gel. I'm a freaking glass cannon who, I mean, I can't turn invisible. I'm not an infiltrator, and I'm a glass cannon who can die in 1 hit pretty much. So I just have to play smart. And like I said, luckily though, because of the incendiary rounds, that's really gonna help me out. I mean, he is a Geth Pyro, so that is pretty much the point. Anytime I want to just get the hell out of there, and right here I'm gonna get hit by a warp, and I knew I was dead. That's just what happens if you get hit by a warp by a Banshee as a Geth, and you don't have full health. You are dead, especially if you have no op packs, and especially if your turret takes a minute to heal you. Now, luckily, I believe all the enemies are dead, and I'm going to get hit right here by a warp. I was so fucking mad. I don't know why my turret's not healing me, but it's really whatever. I'm trying to take out this Banshee if possible. Rigor Carbine takes a long time to kill a Banshee. At least it feels like that to me. Now, I'm going to make a really good play right here. I'm going to actually throw out my turret or at the doorway. Normally, if you can do that, just like that, where if you can throw out your turret exactly at the doorway, you can actually block the enemies. And as you can tell right here, I actually get away with that. Like, the Banshee gets stuck on my turret, and then this one also gets stuck on my turret. And I was just like, oh my god, this is a miracle. Thank god that just happened. But you really gotta avoid being warped. Like, if I was to be warped right here, it would have been game over. I mean, it really would have been game over. Just because the DPS on that would have definitely killed me, unfortunately. But yeah, there we go. So I was able to clutch it. That was really, really a pain in my ass, so I have to admit. Probably like the worst clutch that I've ever had, just because most of the time when I clutch it, or I have to clutch it, I'm always an infiltrator. That's just one of the first times I've had to do it without an infiltrator, and it's, oh man, it's so hard. It can be so hard doing clutching wave 10, you know, especially as a freaking weakling like the Geth engineer is with hunter mode and stuff. Now, just because of that clutch, and I know my teammates are up now, I'm just like, fuck it, I don't really care. I'm just going to play aggressive. If I die, I die. It's really whatever, and I knew I was going to die. I mean, I literally knew I was going to die. Playing stupid like that. I really should have not have played like that. I don't know. It's just one of those moments of just like, I was relieved that wave 10 was over with, and I just kind of didn't even care no more. Like, even if I died on wave 11, it would not have mattered to me. Alright, so right here, we're just staying together pretty well. Unfortunately, one of our teammates got grabbed, and I'm gonna get warped in the most ridiculous fashion. I mean, that warp came out of nowhere, curved around the wall. I mean, it was out from my blood. It was really stupid, unfortunately, but I mean, I don't know. And as you can tell, this is pretty much winding down, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Remember, please comment with your builds. I will give you credit for it. I will call out your YouTube name, maybe even your gamer tag if you give out that information. But right here, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna need someone to pick me up. Luckily, I think one of my teammates is gonna come over here and get me up. But yeah, you know, like, definitely leave a comment, guys. Let me know your build or anything you want to see, and I will definitely do it if I like it. Right there, that's ridiculous. God damn it. Freaking hell. Like, now this wasn't a very pretty gameplay, but it was, you know, we definitely got the job done. And you know, hey, it was pretty awesome. I thought it was a pretty awesome video myself. So, like I said, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this. Please comment, please like, please subscribe, and like always, guys, have a nice day.